Hello everybody, we just arrived. Jordi Gratacos, who as well as being my friend, he's also a specialist in world football and also the technical director of the Football Club Barcelona schools in Russia, no less. We are in Moscow and both of us have been at the Luzhniki Stadium watching the World Cup final. Jordi, first of all, as a spectacle, have been gone to the stadium. Did you go by underground?
Yes, I go by underground.
And you left just as the game finished,
Yes.
so you left with everybody else,
Yes.
like I did as well. A lot of people of a lot of nationalities, and the sense of fun. They were all having a good time.
Yes.
Is that the feeling you had?
Yes. First of all, I would like to agree, and I would like to thank your invitation to your YouTube channel. I think for the people who love football and especially international football is very important to have this kind of conversations because it's not only about clubs, also there are national teams, and I think all the competitions with national teams has a special feelings, not like clubs. And for this reason, I agree with you that all people today only played two countries. But the feeling was that football spirit, football atmosphere was around the stadium, around the spectators, around the underground. I think Russia World Cup for me has a big rating in organization, in logistics.
They were very good, yeah.
In many moments, but especially for this that you tell that I think football unit many countries, and especially this is for me the most important in football to feel this.
I'm not sure I've been to a World Cup in which such a mixture of nationalities have been so well. There was such a synergy of people from different countries. I was on the underground actually on the way here, and there was a bunch of English lads singing, "It's coming home, it's coming, oh, football's coming home to France." Because there were some French guys there, and they were telling them off because it's like, "You French, what are you doing sitting down? If we had just won the World Cup, we were just jumping up and down in the underground," and everybody was laughing, and then they went serious and then started talking about, actually, you play really well, you deserve to win the World Cup. It was all fantastic, and next to it there were some Croatian lads that were also singing their songs. It really feels like, from that point of view, the perfect World Cup, organization-wise. Top as well. So you live in Russia and you live in Moscow. You've lived in Moscow for 2 years. Was there people scared of the impressions from others abroad, or how they were gonna be portrayed in the world?
Honestly speaking, Guillem, for me, this is not a surprise, okay? Because I arrived here 2016, and already 2 years working and training and living here. And I understood that for all the Russian people, this World Cup was a big challenge to show to the world that this is a big country with many traditions, with many cultures, with many positive things. And I think this was a big window for them to show that maybe to break some stereotypes about people, about country. And for me was not a big surprise. Maybe even is better than I thought. Yes, but I thought that could be very good organized. And
I reckon perhaps I was surprised that not many people spoke English.
this, yes.
But they all made an effort. The volunteers were fantastic as well.
Yes.
Something happened to me in the underground. I started a conversation with somebody with a little bit of English that he had. He ended up. I don't know if this is normal or not. I won't find it here now. No, he gave me a coin because he collects coins. And he says, he just got it from his bag and it's like, "This is a coin, and to take it away because it's all I can give you." And I felt it was quite emotional because, like, you don't have to give me anything, but it was that sense of you come to our country, and Russians are known, that's what they say themselves, for being the perfect hosts. They want to be the perfect hosts. And in a way, they absolutely were.
Yes.
So it's time to, I was was just looking if the whole thing was jumping up and down a little bit. It is, isn't it?
A little bit.
I hope it's not too annoying because I don't know what to do right now to stop it. But we were at the Los Nikitas, so, as I was saying, and I had the impression, and I wrote after the game, that this was a final that encapsulated everything that this World Cup has had, football-wise. See if you agree with me. VAR,
Yes.
individuals, they didn't shine,
Yes.
the collective did, set pieces.
Yes.
So, you know, it had everything that this World Cup has had.
Yes. When we speak about organization, logistic, about all these moments, I think it's a perfect World Cup. If we speak about football, for me, this will not be a historical World Cup about football aspects. I understand that European countries are higher level than American, especially, and also against African and Asian countries. I think this World Cup is maybe this is the key moment that show that Europeans are still in the top of the ranking. I think that American try it always with these many emotions in the game, but I think Europeans still have more tactics, more organization process. But in football moments, I think will not be like a shining World Cup. I think I agree with you that collective was always bigger than individualities. I think this is not good for football. I think, and I always speak as a coach that sometimes I feel that we have the ego of the coach, and to ego of the coach sometimes is not helps to this kind of players that can break, that can play in chaotic moments, that maybe can break the defense, can break the press. I think in these moments it's not good for football.
So the collective kills the individual quite clearly, but it's Arsene Wenger who says, "Oh, let's go back." Alfredo Di Stefano says that to create, to build, to attack, you need. It's like going to university. You need the 5 years in university.
Yes.
You need to learn. You need to experience things. You need to get it wrong.
Yes.
Blah blah. To defend is very easy. You just need a hammer to destroy what that has been built. So, in international football, like Arsene Wenger says, you're never going to find the best football around because the coaches don't have the possibility of being with the team for long enough.
Yes.
So teams that have been organized, like France, then will always take advantage of that.
Yes, this is like true. When you are a coach of a club, you have more time, you have more trainings, you must put your personality in the team. I think when you are a coach in the national team, I think it's not 100% like coach. It's more like to select the best players, to have a good scouting of all players from your country. And then for this reason, I think that sometimes the emotional teams also have advantage in this moment. But 100% agree with you, Guillem, that, for example, France showed a very, very solid team. I think the two center backs, Umtiti and Varane, maybe was the best double center backs.
Yeah.
In defense was a very good organization. Even these two center backs score goals, so this is important in the set pieces. And France showed the most solid group, but I will not remember this team like magic team.
Yeah. I think we all tried to, we all hoped, prayed for Mbappe to impress today, because he would have been easily called the Mbappe World Cup if he had done a bit more. He didn't.
Yes.
He became, of course, the young player of the tournament.
Yes.
It is still jumping, isn't it? Should I just stop it for a second and see if I can sort that out? And by the way, I don't know if you like the music, but we brought some live music for you as well. Give me a second. I don't know if I got it wrong. Oh, sorry, if I got it right, but we'll try again. So we were saying there was not one individual that shined in the whole tournament. Sometimes tournaments are defined by that, when the football is not brilliant as it was in here.
Yes.
But if you had to choose one,
For me, the two options would be Hazard and Modric for me. But even maybe a little higher level, for me Hazard. Because under my point of view, the two players are similar playing. They have a very good technical moments, they have a very good oriented control, they control the timing of the game. But I think Hazard did this in the part of the field that is more difficult to do. I think
in the last third?
Yes, in the last third, when you don't have numeric superiority, that always you must face 1-to-1 or 1 against 2. And Modric did, I think, very similar like Hazard, but more back, so more options to not lose ball, maybe more numeric superiority with Rakitic. I think Rakitic did him a very good support in all the World Cup. And for this reason, under my point of view, maybe Hazard was 1 point.
But up. Even them two, and if you had Mbappe, they had one top game.
Yes.
And for instance, there wasn't much of Modric today, no much of Mbappe. Hazard was good against England, but he was very, very good against Brazil, especially the last 15 minutes of the game where he had to hold the ball. And Hazard is probably one of the few players in the tournament that could dribble and beat players by dribbling them, which we see less and less. Modric's best game was against England, possibly. And Mbappe's best game was against Argentina, where he scored the 2 goals. So little bits. Not enough to say, as you were saying, this is a brilliant World Cup.
No, but just to finish the situation with Mbappe and Hazard and Modric, I think Hazard did all moments in this World Cup. So not lose ball, 1-to-1, dribbling, assist, score goals. Modric score goals, but maybe through penalty. I think I would say in this moment Hazard. Of course, Mbappe is more a visual player because how he runs and how he plays with the space is amazing moments. Not any other player, I think, can have this explosivity running with ball and all these moments. I think also because of Brazil not go to the next stage, but Brazil showed, especially I think one of the best games for me was Brazil-Belgium. I think last 15 minutes Brazil with Jesus, with Douglas Costa, with Neymar, with Coutinho, with Firmino. I think for me it was maybe the best moments in this World Cup, not with finalization, but very good connection with these players. And Brazil, I think in this game maybe deserved more. And
Belgium as well, perhaps.
Belgium.
But quite clearly, even though we're not impressed with the football of France, the way they approach the game, they went through the difficult draw, so they had to obviously beat Argentina and then Belgium and then eventually Croatia. So they deserve winners. I would argue that. But there was also something happening in that game that describes the World Cup in the final, which was that Croatia wanted possession, combined, playing between the lines, playing on the wings, playing long sometimes, but playing in different ways. That's based on domination and possession.
Yes.
But then, are you happy? Hello.
I'm not happy.
You're not happy, Russia.
But I have to pretend to be happy.
But you did perfect.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Congratulations. So, what was I saying?
I think about.
Oh yes. So Croatia, possession-based football, described in a broad way. France was more physical, strong, transitions, set pieces. The pendulum has gone from possession to more physical and...
Yes. I think this is a very interesting discussion. I think after this World Cup, this discussion will be even stronger. because, for example, today Croatia, I think in the first 20 minutes, 25, had all control of the game. What I'm not sure is this was real control of the game. I mean, I think was an invitation from France to make this control of the game. I think was not real.
Even though they created chances out of it.
Yes.
But I know what you're saying. So it was like, come on, attack us to create the space in behind for them.
And I think Guillem, I don't like to speak about referees, but I think in this game was 1-2 moments that changed the situation of the game. I think fault. First goal, I think, is not fault to Griezmann.
The foul on Griezmann is not a foul. It's not a foul.
And was the only moment that France could make danger to the goalkeeper Subotic. And when you have Umtiti, when you have Varane, when you have Giroud, when you have these players, is a big advantage. I think in this moment I didn't like this moment because
it changed everything. Of course, it changed the dynamic.
Yes.
What happened as well was that a lot of Croatians wanted VAR to intervene on the own goal of Mandzukic because they felt that Pogba was offside and intervening as well. The thing is, though, every goal gets reviewed, even though we may not see it and it doesn't get mentioned. Every goal got reviewed, and they saw there was not offside. That Vida has got a foot that leaves Pogba onside, which then there is no issue really. But there was, of course, Croatia, with that strong mentality they have, they came back into the game. Yet again, in that patient build-up that they wanted to do, which they did not succeeded. So, why are you saying that this will be taken on as a debate?
Because this is when you have possession. I think you must have these kind of players that I was talking before about, these chaotic players that can break your rules in tactics and rules of adversary. And for these moments, of course, Modric was very good in the possession of the game, the ball, and to control all aspects and change orientation of the game, right, left, right, and to try to find the space. But Croatia maybe not have special talented players in front. Of course, they have Mandzukic, who is very strong, who tries all, who never give up. This is very important. But only Perisic, I think, was in the moment that could show a stronger level than others, and maybe with one is not enough. I think you need minimum 2 or 3 players that could break these 2 specific moments, 2 tactical moments,
and to impact the game where it matters, which is right, just close to the box. This just briefly brings me to England, because they tried to play a possession-based football that they could not play because they did not have the midfielders. But they build it. I like to know what you think of it, because the idea is to build from here, from this platform, a team with enough players to control the game, to affect it in between the lines, to do like Croatia did basically. But they don't have the players now. So would you abandon that system and that style, and especially at national level, look for the players that you have and then decide what you want to do, or the other way around? Because they want in England to attract these players into the national side, to bring more into football, and then they think that will be the way to succeed in international football. Do you agree that?
Yes, I think it's very interesting what happens in the English football, because I think the top 5 teams changed, I think, his style of playing. I think, especially with the foreigner coaches and with top players from other leagues, they try to build the games through the back. They try that goalkeeper not shoot only forward, try to build up the game. And I think this affects, of course, to the national team, because all these players are training maybe 300 days a year or 320 days a year with one system. This system is based in the ball possession, I think, most of them, these top 5 teams. And of course, the national team is built from of these top 5 teams, and this affects. And
but is it that automatic that if you dominate games, if you have most of the possession, you're actually bound to eventually succeed in international football? Because you're going to have more impact on the game if you have the ball than if you don't have it, I guess.
Yes. For me, always we speak about this moment when the team who has ball possession not wins. For me, and I don't have these statistics, but for me, if we take 100 games and play the same teams, and the team who has the ball possession, I would say not 55-45, not 53-47. If we take, for example, rule 65-35
of possession.
Possession.
Yeah.
I think the team who has ball, this 65, sorry, will wins much more often. But then we take the game that you had this 65 possession and you didn't win, to have this discussion. I agree. Sometimes the ball possession not give you the winning of the game, but I think you are very close to win this game.
Yeah, that which yet again brings us into Spain.
Yes.
You can have a very bad representation of possession football, and it's dreadful. It's boring. It's conservative.
Yes.
They just really didn't. What was it? They did not know how to do what they were supposed to do, or they did not want to do it, or there was, in my eyes, there was 2 Spains, 2 ways of understanding the game, and it didn't work. What do you think?
I think if we take the main moments in this World Cup, and if we go back to our conversation, I think the organization of the adversary is very difficult to break this. And I agree with you, Guillem, when you say about all these coaches that to organize defense is always much easier than organize the attack, because in attack you need this creativity, these talented players, and it's not so often you have these players. But for example, Spain against Portugal, I think played good game for me.
Yeah.
Of course, 3 moments Cristiano Ronaldo had good inspiration. Also was some other mistakes in the national team of Spain that allows them. But in this moment, I think Spain, this game was quite good and quite interesting and quite attractive for the spectator. But for example, in the game against Russia, and I could say also game Argentina against Iceland, I think similar. These adversaries only defend, and even when they had option to go and run to the space, they didn't go, and it's very difficult because you need and for this reason I don't understand why Iniesta didn't play this game, because you need one player who can attract 2 or 3 adversaries. I think Iniesta can do. Even can play 1-to-1. Even can, what I say, this is filter pass. Filter, because you need not make pass. You need filter this pass because many adversaries. Iniesta can do, I think. For this reason, I don't understand why he was not in this game, because when game has one dynamic, it's very difficult to change this dynamic. And in this moment, I think Spain had many ball possession, but not have this player who can break this rule and who can allow Spain to show better level.
There was a picture that showed what Spain was like against Russia, and it was Costa. It was the 5 players of Russia in one line, and Costa with them, and then 4 4 next to it, and then 5 of Spain. And we were attacking, and there was nobody between the lines, nobody just breaking in behind, running in behind, there was nobody down the wings. Dreadful, but I guess it must have been a frustration as well, having to face a team that was so defensive. But another thing that to come up from the World Cup is the set pieces.
Yes.
We've gone from 30% of goals in set pieces in Brazil to almost 1 of 2, which is unbelievable. Now, when that happens, these things are so clearly determining a World Cup. It becomes fashionable to go for that.
Yes.
But if you're actually going to be a team that wins games by set pieces, you better have tall centre backs, you better have tall centre midfielders. So do you think that's going to be a trend now?
I hope not, honestly speaking. I hope not, because I understand football. I understand that all these numbers and all these figures are important and give us many discussion moments. But I feel football different. I feel football not like mathematics. I don't know, but me as a coach, I think I have mixed, because I am in beside generations. I am now 44 years old, but I lived the generation of Luis Aragonés or Johan Cruyff or this kind of coaches that I think give freedom to the player, especially to the talented players, and that try to create a special comfort for these players to shine. That's what I see, for example, Luis Aragonés with Xavi, with Iniesta, or Johan Cruyff with Laudrup, Romario, even Stoichkov. And I think now the new generation, we have many database, we have many information, but to have more information, I think not means you are better or you have better options to win. I think the most important, and I always put some kind of examples when I speak about this. For example, I could have a right winger, offensive, that maybe not lose any ball in the game. And this statistics is top, because 10 times touch ball and not lose ball. I think this is, in numbers, perfect. But what means this? That this right winger anytime tries one-to-one, anytime risks, anytime... so information is good, but you must understand this information.
The biggest statistic of all is the result, of course.
Yes.
And a lot of people want a result. So there'll be fans of national teams that want, obviously, their team to win, no matter how. We've always defended where we come from, and this is a Johan Cruyff, perhaps, school of thought, that it shouldn't all be about the result. Imagine this for a second. If France did not win today, a France that has not excited and has not excited French media, French fans, what is there otherwise? There's another final that would have been lost. It feels that it's not enough. Now Belgium were celebrating today their arrival back home. Everybody was in the streets, and it was of course down to the fact that they got to a semi-final and got there, but also the precious football that they played, the good football, the exciting football. England is the same, even though perhaps the best football was against Tunisia earlier on. It was obviously about winning and defying expectations, but it was also that they were excited that the team tried to do things. There is not enough, I still think there is not enough emphasis on the way you play, apart from when you leave Spain. Because I think this is, after all, is a game, so as such you should take enjoyment out of it. You should bring enjoyment into your well if you are part of it. I know I've convinced you already because you're part of this. You convinced me earlier anyway, but there is that, isn't it? The obsession for the result. I think this World Cup has proven to the teams that did not win that is not all about the
Yeah.
result.
I think this is the most positive in this World Cup.
Yeah.
That teams that not are the champions but showed good football, I think all country is satisfied about what they showed. And I think the biggest example of this is I think Netherlands. Netherlands never was champion, but all people speaks about how they played. I think this is amazing for me because people sometimes not remember who was the finalist, but all people speaks about Netherlands in 70s, in 80s, and it means that I'm sure, because I was very young and I don't remember, but I'm sure they played magic football, because even without being champion, all people speaks about this.
Yeah.
And about Argentina 78, yes, of course, was champion, but not to speak about with these shining eyes or with...
But the perfection, of course, is when Germany plays well and wins, or Spain plays well and wins.
Yes.
So even France in '98, they weren't
Yes.
great. They weren't great. The goal scorer never scored, but there was moments of magic as well, coming from
Yes.
Zidane mostly. That's a good point you made. So this World Cup has brought the joy of enjoying your national side, not just because of the result. And maybe that's more difficult to be brought into fashion,
Yes.
because people want to win. But the fact that we still got coaches of the highest caliber who focus on that,
Yeah.
and in the Premier League,
Yeah.
some of them in the Premier League, means that it won't be forgotten. That it's important to play good football as well. What else do you think we've learned from this World Cup?
I think this World Cup showed us a very important thing, that we don't need to be afraid to trust in the young players. And I speak about Mbappe, because Mbappe 19 years old. And I think this the most I like from the champs is that give him number 10 and give option to shine. Of course, he has top background because Paris Saint-Germain. In the 2 years ago, Monaco, I think, was top 3 in the Europe. But give him option to play World Cup, and I don't see many young players that have this option.
No, in fact, France had as some of them. I mean, Lucas Hernandez, Pavard, I think, is young as well. Griezmann is not doing well. Griezmann is getting on, but it's not like in his 30s. England was the youngest, not the youngest, but the most inexperienced, which is important as well. But also one of the youngest. Belgium is like you would think a team ends up winning, you know, with key guys. Late 20s, early 30s, but yeah, that's a good point. It's time Spain will have to show faith in youth now, because in fact, if you don't mind, we'll finish it there. I think there is two ways of understanding, or two ways to go from now on, which is in terms of names, is the Marco Asensio, Isco, Carvajal, Koke, Costa, Saul, and then there is and there's so many now. Busquets, Piqué, Silva, and Silva's probably leaving maybe as well, Piqué too. So we are abandoning the style that made us win.
Yes.
And there is so much pressure from Madrid mostly, Madrid media, who probably never fully understood why we won and the way we won. They're trying to take it away from us. How do you feel about that?
I think Spain, we have the same problem that we had many years ago. I think we don't have this number 9 that could show the difference, and I think last was Niño. I think Fernando Torres, especially with the help of David Villa, I think I cannot see this kind of players in Spain. You can say maybe Iago Aspas, you can say maybe Rodrigo from Valencia, but I remember that Fernando Torres and David Villa, one was playing in Atletico de Madrid top level, another was playing in FC Barcelona top level, and they scored important goals. Yes, Rodrigo and Iago Aspas, but I think before we had same problem. We had maybe Morientes, we had other kind of players that, yes, I don't say they don't have level. They have level, but to be world champion, you must have this kind of strikers that can show the difference. And if you have two, like we had David Villa and Niño Torres, I think this was the big impact of the national team.
So you're not worried about the style or what way Spain takes from now on?
I think we have many players for this style. I think Thiago Alcantara, we have Asensio, we have Sergio Busquets still playing. We have other players that David Silva. We have players that can keep this style. But we need player who must do the difference in front. Of course, Diego Costa tried to do his best, but who else can help him? I think was a discussion between Morata, but for example, Morata and Morientes, I see very similar play. Very good level, but needs more help because finally, and we speak about control of the game and ball possession, but finally you must have players who can finish this action. I think other teams who was playing, they have, for example, I think Lukaku is a very important player in this position.
Do you think Luis Enrique will show us the right way?
I think yes. I think will be interesting. I think will be interesting, especially with the new president of the Football Federation.
Both big personalities,
yes.
And both with a completely opposite relationship to the media.
Yeah.
Rubiales picks always the phone and always talks to you, but then he sells you his thing and imposes his way of thinking. Luis Enrique imposes his way of thinking, but doesn't even negotiate it with the media or with anybody else. So that would be interesting. Right. I hope the piano didn't bother you much. I hope you could hear us properly. I hope it was interesting. Remember to subscribe. This is my last post from the World Cup, and after this, I don't know you, but I'm going on holidays. It's time to go on holidays. So we'll be back at the beginning of the season, of course. So subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, you'll forget about me, and then when things come up, you won't get them. But there'll be much more coming. So thank you very much, Jordi, for spending time with us.
For me, it was a big pleasure, Guillem, and you know that when I speak football about you, always I learn things, and for me, it's a big pleasure.
By the way, I tried to get it for Beagles United, but he thought otherwise. Look at where he is. He's in Moscow. Couldn't get him. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a good time, have a good summer. What a World Cup we live together. I've loved, by the way, these little posts. I hope you did too. Comment and let me know what you think of it, and I hope the sound is okay. Cheers, bye.
Ciao.